It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can make it rain.
Good evening and welcome to the initial installment of the Kuhn Academy 2014, where we are building responsible voters one video at a time. All right, so the flipped classroom, for those of you that's new to this, basically the concept here is we're going to be trying to do some of our lecture notes and some of the more important concepts online via YouTube, so that gives you an opportunity to go back and watch it again, pause the video, and study this not only now but as you're preparing for the AP exam. Okay, and then we'll do some activities and other related things in class. Okay, so we're going to start with the Constitutional Convention. Now, hopefully in class today we got through the Articles of Confederation and kind of got to the calling of this convention in Philadelphia, where we're basically going to revise the Articles of Confederation. At least that was the initial thought. Okay, but quickly they realized without all the states there, it was going to be impossible to revise them, so they set out to write a new constitution. So at the convention, okay, we have a number of splits or divisions amongst the people in the new states. Okay, there's obviously big and small states against each other. Okay, big states going to be led by Virginia. Okay, and New York and other states, and then the smaller states are pretty much going to be, New Jersey, Delaware. Okay, Rhode Island's not there, but you get the gist of it. Okay, there's obviously a slave and a non-slave split, not so much over the moral aspects of slavery, but more the economic interests of the slave and the non-slave states. So that's really a north-south split. All right, we had some delegates that we would call today conservatives that would want a strong central government. All right, and then we had more of the liberals that wanted more of a strong state government, kind of the opposite of the way things are today. Okay, but some of your more conservatives wanted that more government power and kind of keep things centrally located there. Okay, we had liberal and conservative, like you can imagine, just like we have today, and then there was definitely a split amongst imports and exports. Most of your Southerners were exporters, okay? Most of your Northerners were importers, okay? So most of these divisions and compromises we learned about here are going to all stem from this, okay? So a little review question here for you as we get started. All right, unlike the Articles of Confederation, the Constitution does which of the following? So I want you to go ahead and pause your video, read through the choices, and see what the answer would be. And the correct answer is the E. All right, the Constitution emphasizes national sovereignty, that's strong central government, as well as federalism, which is the division of power between state and national power down here. Okay, so it kind of did both of those, where the Articles of Confederation was mostly about state sovereignty and state power. This is an example of what you'll see on the AP exam. This is a former AP question, in fact. All right. Now, just so we know what we're talking about, how many houses exist in a bicameral legislature? Bicameral would be a beautiful word for the word wall, and it would be, since I underlined it in green here, you should write it in green when you come to class. I'll even give a few extra points on the most recent quiz to the first person to write it on the word wall tomorrow morning. Okay, so pause your video, and we should know that it is 2 houses in a bicameral legislature. 2 houses. All right. So it brings us to the Virginia plan. Okay, this was the initial plan proposed at the Constitutional Convention there in Philadelphia, brought up by James Madison, or actually brought up by Edmund Randolph, but Madison is the one that wrote it. Madison was very shy and quiet, didn't like to speak in public, so he had Randolph kind of do his dirty work here. Okay, so this becomes the foundation. Madison had a plan, had the philosophy, and this sort of was the framework we're going to work off of. All right, Madison's plan was to split the government into 3 branches. We saw this with John Locke. A legislative branch that was going to make the laws, an executive branch to enforce the laws and see that they're carried out, and then a judicial branch to judge the laws. That is basic government 101. A key thing you will need to grasp is the responsibilities of those 3 branches. Now, Congress, being the legislative branch and the most powerful, would be 2 houses. Therefore, a bicameral legislature. Okay, he was going to split it into a House and Senate. It might sound familiar to you. Okay, however, in Madison's plan, remember this is a plan. Okay, the plan was that both houses would be based on population. Now, being the Virginia plan, with Virginia being the most populous, you can see why they would want it based on population. The voters in the states would elect members of the House, and then they would elect members of the Senate. So the Senate would be more removed from the people. We would not get to vote for the senators. We, being the people, would only vote for members of the House. Okay, and Senate would be chosen by members of the House to keep them more removed and a bit of a check on the people. Okay, Charles Beard is also going to talk about that idea of checking the people in his article that you are hopefully reading tonight. All right, so that's the Virginia plan. Okay, this was defeated by the small states, as you can imagine. Okay, also in the Virginia plan, Congress would have all the powers under the Articles, which we know are not much, but then they would also be able to make laws to apply to the states and override state laws. So if a state law would say one thing, the national government could pass a law overriding that. Okay, like who could marry, for example, would be a good reference there. Okay, and then the states would be forced to obey the national laws. Okay, Congress would choose the members of the judicial branch and the president. So Congress obviously had all the power here. They would be elected by the people. They would then choose the Senate, who would then choose a president and the courts. All right, people that feared a strong central government didn't like the Virginia plan because Congress had too much authority. There was no check on the federal government from the states. All right, New Jersey and Delaware were kind of your ringleaders of that. They had the smaller populations and felt they would be underrepresented in the national government. Okay, so that's our Virginia plan by Madison. Important to know because it was bicameral and it was a framework, and also that it was based on population. Okay, but did not go into effect. All right. Now, next question. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to pause the video here. Okay, we're going to stop it and close this one up, and you're going to turn into part 2 in a few minutes here. Give you a little bit of a chance to catch a break and get used to this flipped classroom thing. So thanks for listening to the Kuhn Academy. We're building responsible voters one video at a time.